So, the theme for this sermon, I'll give in English, my expectation for the new year. And the theme is Christ show us faith, from John 4:36. The harvests are paid good wages, and the fruits they harvest is people brought to eternal life. What joy awaits both the planter and the harvesters alike. And I will read a chapter from True Fathers, Christmas Delivery, December 25th, 1979. Christmas is truly the celebration of the birth of God's Son, but without knowing God's purpose for sending him, there cannot truly be a celebration of Christmas. I describe what could have happened externally, but think about Jesus himself. Would he have thought that he didn't need anyone else to help him to rule the world as a Messiah? Or would he have thought he would needed a wife, in-laws, children, and grandchildren so that his tradition could be passed down? Don't you think Jesus felt he needed to be exemplary in all human relationships on earth? And he should occupy every position a human being could have, parent, grandparent, in-law, so he could set the heavenly tradition. Is there a tradition of the love of God here on earth? Jesus came to teach this tradition. He struggled by himself, but finally was crucified. There was not much room for him to leave the tradition that God wanted here on earth. So, about setting goals, when we see a new year, we usually like to set goals, right? And we look at the end of the year, we're looking back for the year which passed. And hopefully you feel very satisfied with your past year. You felt that maybe the goals you set up, you could accomplish. But from my side, from my personal side, it's not always like that simple. You set high goals and then you feel like you fall short and you don't maybe feel so inspired, you feel a bit lost, but then you look back and there was something good you can bring with you. Setting goals is important because we're facing challenges. And that's why, and also life will be boring, right? If we don't have anything to anticipate. And that's how we grow as human beings. And of course, anyone who works in an organization, every organization has its goals. Every society should have its goals. And that's why we are engaged also in elections and so on. Even though many times one can feel, what are really their goals besides power? Do they have any higher goals? And that comes down to ourselves also, really. What is our goals? And how can we improve ourselves? So, we know from principle that there is a duality in life. Things are interconnected and things have dual purposes. Of course, on one side is the material aspect of life, and then there's the spiritual aspect of life. And that's why we have a religious life, because we want to harmonize those two aspects. We can say that life has external aspects and an internal aspects, and it has a personal dimension and a public dimension. It's very important when we're setting these goals, when we think about how can we harmonize those? How can we have an inclusive aspect that we bring both those aspects to life? And when we look back on life, we think about many external things, but also maybe we realize deep in our heart that the internal maybe are actually the more important things. And the question is, of course, then, how do we connect as religious people, as believers in God? How do we connect with God? Is God part of our lives when we're setting these goals? And how has God been involved in our past year? And I think for many people, normally it seems abstract. God seems, maybe if you're even for believers, it's difficult to see how can it really be connected, or how can I really connect with God in my own life? So now today we hear a lot about True Mother and the upcoming event. So Yes, I looked at the last speech we heard True Mother gave in the prayer rally for the salvation of the unified nation, and how she sets the goal for North and South Korea to unite. And I will just comment some of the points she made and reflect about them a little bit. She says her earnest desire is a world of peace. And she reflected about that there are many conflicts in this world, and we can solve them if we have faith and work together. So this is also an example of how duality plays into our lives, right? There are worldly problems, but what they are a reflection of a lot of struggles, internal strife between people. People have different types of goals and different types of ambition. People are not really harmonized. Sorry. Okay, sorry. I think I missed one point there. It came in a different order here. The problem in the world is not the sign of God's absent simply due to selfishness and narrow-mindedness. So people have to learn to work together. So God is working all through history, but both through individuals and through our civilization. So she's asking us, what is the solution for all world problems? And that is for us as individuals, as a society, bring our lives, God into our lives. And one point how to do that is, she mentioned, is the blessing. It's through the blessing, through the family life, we can create a culture of peace, centered on deeper understanding of God. Because it's true, in a close relationship, that's how we cultivate our hearts and our understanding for each other. That is the way we're forcing ourselves to develop ourselves. I mean, we are naturally, as human beings, grown from infants when we can express ourselves. We don't know what's happening, and we are screaming as small children. And people can be disturbed about maybe children's sense of self-centeredness and greed. And we talked about it in our family also, but actually it's natural for children to be self-centered. There's nothing evil about them. They just do that for they have to survive and they have to develop, they have to pay attention. But part of education is, of course, to educate the children to grow up and get a language so they can communicate, to express themselves, and so develop also a sense of character and understanding about life and what it means and how to connect. And you learn that, of course, through social rules, where you play with games with children, with your friends, you're developing friendship, and you learn how to do it. You get into work, you learn more things. And all this is part of our lives and training. But it seems too often, right, that people don't really, they stop at one level. They stop to get a job and then they just work and then they struggle at the work. I hear many times people have conflicts in their working places. And in a society, we see a lot of struggle and conflict. Of course, this is a reflection of a sense of personal immaturity. And now we can say that also is a reflection that God is not in our lives and we don't understand ourselves as spiritual beings who needs to constantly be attended and developing ourselves. So I took Father's, I've been not giving 3 sermons. I talked about it in quite short part of the span of life, and I talked about Advent, and we had Christmas. So I've been thinking, I'm in the Christmas mood still, because Christmas is a lot of fun, can be a lot of fun, right? Can be a lot of stress also. But it's also, Christmas is also an illustration about life. It shows the importance of preparation and investment. And to have anticipation, we expect things to come, but we also need to have faith. And I was just thinking about this from the pledge. Father talks about absolute faith. God in the creation had to have absolute faith. He asked from us to have absolute faith. For me, these words are pretty heavy because it implies somehow some dogma, some force. I had to surrender myself. And this is something I think we as human beings struggle with sometimes. Yeah, I have to be unselfish. We talked about it. We know it's good to be unselfish. That means I have to give up all my perspective, all my own interests. I have to believe in something I cannot really understand. So for some people, it's too much. And I think it's natural, it's a little bit too much because we want to have understanding. So we can say that absolute faith, but it is about passion at the same time. I can think about when people want to do something, perform something, or what I see in sports, so we're having in the Olympics, everybody goes in there. Of course, they will go with great anticipations and have great faith. They know they're going to be struggles, but they believe that they will do it. And they cannot do it unless they believe in it. I saw Manchester United play yesterday, and I'm sure they believed after a poor game that they will win in the last minute. They still kept going and going. And in the last minute, right, they scored. That's an example of faith. So people in all types of life needs to have faith, sense of drive. And we need to have that in our relationship with God also. We need to have that to make the world a better place, to bring God into our lives. Yeah, we need to have same kind of zeal, same kind of determination, same kind of passion. And I'm sure that God, when he created this world, see these struggles and he sees humankind who disobeyed him, went away, still have his love because he has faith in us. He has faith in you. So it's important that we also appreciate that kind of faith and respond with that and believe that with that faith, we can accomplish great things in life. And there's also something we need to pass on to our children, to our next generation, to people around us. Because if we say we believe in God, but we don't act as we have belief, then people will not respect either us or God. I think that's why many people feel disenchanted, because they look at religious people and they're seeing, this is what Marit also talked about, that these people have a lot of pride. They think they are better because they have certain beliefs, but they don't really practice it. Then people look at them and say, what's good with that? That's why religion has lost its influence in the Western world. But we need to bring it back, and that's what True Mother wants to do. So in this way, let's make this year a year. This is a special year for True Mother. She's pushing for Korea's unity. It seems an unbelievable dream. And maybe once as we feel here, what does it concern me? But I do really think that if we are involved in supporting True Mother in this dream, this vision, we will realize this is a miracle. It will be also open up a great opportunity for people to understand also deeply how the importance to bring in spiritual values in our lives. Because if True Mother can do it and announce that this is centered on God, then this issue will be revived. And she asking the world leaders, she's right, that they need to understand that they cannot do it on their own. Too often people with power, they think they can do everything on their own, but they cannot do it. So that we need to bring something else in our lives. And that also will be a lesson for ourselves also in our lives. We think maybe we can do things all on our own, but we need to bring in other people in our in the equation. And of course, we need to bring in God into the equation. So with those words, I want to conclude with prayer. Dear beloved Heavenly Parents, we are thankful we have our true parents here with us, a True Mother here. She's exemplifying the nature of faith or belief. Jesus showed us what it is to believe, but too often in our civilization today, we realize that Christianity, many Christians lost really faith in your will, in your kingdom. But True Mother is recognizing that she has not lost faith in that. And she's asking us also to share that faith, to share that belief. And this kingdom is not just something abstract. It's something we want to be part of. We also ourselves want to create together with each other. And of course, especially we want to create it with the loved ones in our family, in our community, in people near here. So when we're setting our goals for this coming year, please help us and guide us and inspire us. So whatever we do, we can always welcome you. And we always can understand that you are there helping us and guiding us and supporting us. And this I want to pray in my name, Lawrence Julien, Death Center family. Adieu.